welcome to another awesome day of, I'm hiding. A FileMaker training. I'm off the side of the screen. There I am. So welcome to fmtrain.tv, where every day, Monday through Friday at this time slot, we are doing great FileMaker training at various levels of difficulty. So today is a different kind of day for us. I'm going to pop up this button here real quick. Lately, we've been doing a lot of JavaScript training, programming training, education with Leland Long. Kyle's been part of that over the years, helping us out with that. And Kyle Williams is here with us, at least for the moment. And so today is more of a basic day, a beginner day a little bit. Or you could be an intermediate developer or senior developer, but if you see what you like today, then it might be something you want to download. It's kind of a freebie, throw together thing. So today is about largely if you have an organization and you are wanting to communicate with your organization and stay on the same page, then you need some sort of like internal documentation of your tribal knowledge, shall we say, right? So we're going to talk about that today. And of course, in my case, we're using the FileMaker platform. So I will get to this momentarily. I just wanted to key everything up, let people know what we're doing. So today is kind of the idea of if you need, if you have like these tribal communications that go on and you have project meetings and people using all sorts of things from Google Sheets to Word to Post-it notes, then maybe you need something else more like your own internal wiki, right? And a lot of companies do that. A lot of companies have an internal wiki. And today's conversation is about, can you use FileMaker in that capacity? And of course, I would say, yes, you can. So tomorrow, Nick Hunter, day 1, day 2, day 3, bam, bam, bam of building OCR automation in FileMaker. I'm not entirely sure what Nick's doing. I know that we did some OCR Friday on Christian Schmidt's Monkey Bread plugin. Nick, every time we do something in the FileMaker platform, half the time we're using either APIs or maybe a plugin that does it. There's almost always more than one way of solving the problem. And as a senior developer in the community, as you get to a point, a lot of it is just knowing where to look. Like people come to me all the time saying, like somebody the other day goes, hey, I've got this Arduino pocket computer blah, blah, blah thing, and I want to connect it to a blah, blah, blah and have it talk to FileMaker. And I went, 2 for you. Hans has got the hardware integration stuff. Really cool. Bam, send them there. Done. So part of it is knowing where to send people. Different developers have different skill sets, et cetera. And so it's always knowing where to go to get the help that you need, right? So today's conversation is about Wiki. Then the next 3 days will be about OCR. That's optical character recognition. Everyone should know what that is. And then Friday, we have an open Q&A with Jacob Taylor and myself. We're going to be talking about FileMaker server / Claris server. And then Christian Schmidt will be back on Monday, March 20th. So very, very exciting upcoming broadcast schedule. As a reminder for all the people who watch this live stream is brought to you free. However, if you want to help support the channel, I definitely recommend purchasing one of our training bundles that we have. We have basic, plus, and complete training bundles. They come with different things. All right, so let's talk about today's broadcast. And along the way, Kyle Williams is supposed to be here. Kyle, this is...
Yep, I'm here.
You are there. All right, cool.
Hey, everyone.
Kyle is back. Kyle hasn't been around doing a live stream in a long time. He got a job where they work him really hard, and he's doing great things there. So that's exciting. But we got to bring him back on this conversation today. So let's talk about this a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to key up briefly over here. I'm going to pop this page up right here. The idea is that here's what happens with a lot of things. I had a meeting with Claris the other day, and they were like, well, we're thinking about trying to do some project management stuff in the FileMaker / Claris platform, as a use case of the product. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And what Claris has found out is that most of the developers in the community do project management. They buy an online system. They don't use FileMaker. It's really kind of funny, right? And so like when Claris years ago started using Salesforce a little bit for their sales team, because they could buy it and roll it out and it was instantly done and theoretically kind of bug free, one would hope. We all at least I poo-pooed the idea of doing that, but it turns out my opinion of eating your own dog food is somewhat unique. A lot of the other consultancies will use their own not their own tools that they've created, but they will buy an offline system on the internet because it's in the near term cheaper and faster to get going. Long term, I think it's more expensive for the most part, right? And so the idea is to eat your own dog food. So here's the situation. So I've got people in my company who still use Post-it notes. I'm not making this up. I've got people who shared their idea of project management is to write things into Google Sheets, and then they share it on a shared drive on the Google Drive and all that kind of thing. And that is not really great active project management. The problem is you can easily run afoul where the two people are not on the same page together. So I said to myself, well, what we need to do is get a wiki, kind of this buy your own wiki thing. So for those of you who kind of want to know about this, you can go to like wiki. So we type wiki, here's Wikipedia, right? And so Wikipedia is this collaboratively edited document in a browser. And that's what I was going for. And so I went to Jacob Taylor, and I don't need ads and stuff, but you can buy or download, it's kind of open source, a wiki solution that you run on a server up in Amazon or your own server, wherever. It's your own like private wiki. 360 Works does their documentation in their own wiki, and you can go to their 360 website and look at the documentation on their wiki. That's how they maintain it. So they'll bring up a product and they'll update the documentation so everyone's on the same page together. There's no uploading and downloading files. It's very FileMaker-y, very databasey, because what you see on the screen is what it is. That's the whole idea. So I went to Jacob Taylor, my server guy. He was like, kiss my ass, I ain't doing that. And I'm like, why? He goes, I'm busy building FileMaker servers and doing FileMaker stuff. I don't want to learn something else new. He doesn't have the time to do it. I'm like, okay. So this request went to him like 2 years ago. And finally, the other day, I got tired of this. I said, people are just not, we had a document management solution, but the issue with the solution was that I'm in FileMaker and I have a text field in FileMaker and some containers. And the problem is that a text field in FileMaker isn't super flexible like Microsoft Word kind of flexible, right? That was the problem. And so I went, well, Kyle Williams built this, WordPress starter solution file thing. And he did like 5 different ones. It's the online editor using JavaScript. And Kyle was on the show and talked about that. Kyle, you remember that conversation? It was like 18 months ago,
Yeah,
like that.
I was showing a few different rich text editors. I was comparing them. I was showing all the pros and cons of each of them. I showed Quill and the bugs that were in the Quill version, and Summer Note was another one I did. Tiny MCE I did. So I did all of those, and I was showing all the pros and cons of each of them. And then we got to CK Editor at the end, and that one really outshined the rest by far. And so that's kind of how we ended that.
So I opened up, I eat my own dog food here. So I opened up the live stream. I watched a little bit of the live stream. I downloaded the sample files from my own live stream. I eat my own dog food. And Kyle was like, well, the CK editor is kind of the best one. So I went and found the editor and it had some funkiness with it. So I reached out to Kyle and said, hey, I'll pay you for some of your time. Can you fix some bugs in here for me? So he did that. So this is the newest version of Kyle's editor right here. This is Kyle's. So let me start with a new record. You can type in here and type in here and type in here and type in here and type in here. And this is like the latest version of this thing, right? And let me put some more text in here. Paste. Now over here is the HTML if you need to look at it. Really so what you're going to see is Kyle's kind of the source of this thing, and then you're going to see what I did to adapt it. And we're going to give you the link. You can get both these files. There's no charge for them. They're free. But one of the things I wanted to do, so the idea was that I told Kyle, I said, listen, so I really need to be able to hide this. So toggle toolbar. I want to be able to hide the toolbar. And then by default, when I come to a record, I don't want to see the toolbar because a lot of times I want to read the information, like what information is in here. I want to read it. I don't need the toolbar burning up space on a laptop, right? Really, because you want this to be useful on a laptop. You're in a plane, you're at the airport. If you're on a giant, like you guys see over here, you got a giant monitor. Claris is on hot standby in the event that there's a problem. She's here to help and provide guidance. But the idea is that most people are not going to access this on a 34-inch or 27-inch giant display. So you have to make it kind of fit. So we have this toolbar here that's there. The other parts of this that were really great that I like was that I told Kyle with the CK editor, I want to be able to do drag and drop with an image. And so that's not bad, but that's still not great. but then, he made some other adjustments to it. And so here it is here. And you're like, well, that's still not great. But then at the top, it shows you how to wrap. Push the wrap button. Oh, look at that. That's bad stuff right there. And that's in what appears to be a text field in FileMaker. So Kyle took a demo we had, he updated the code. I went to the CK editor people. It's an open source thing. We're not using their services. So I got a minimal license. It was free. And Kyle updated this. And the idea was that if you're making notes in here and updating documentation, updating things, I could actually date it here, right? So you could say 3/13/2023. You could put the keyboard shortcut for the date in there, I think. Okay, I'm in a web viewer, and so when I hit Command minus sign, I don't get the date. It does the shrinky thing on the screen. So the little things that go on. So we're in a web viewer, but it feels like a word processor. Not only that, as we type, it's saving the date over here. So then if I go to a different record, the web viewer loads. And look at this. He put some documentation in here. Nice, right?
Yep.
Here's some random junk here, some random junk here, random junk here. Toggle talks about this a little bit. Pretty neat stuff. So I said, this is awesome. This is awesome. What I want to do is build this into my own solution. So that's what we did. So can CK Editor do alpha, bullet points, and double indents? Yeah, I think it does all that, but we're going to try it out here real quick. So what I did is I took his CK Editor and I updated a personal file, and Margaret's making this file available right now. So this is the way I, Richard, manage a lot of our projects at RCC, and we have a team of about 10 people doing this. And so what I do is I throw a container up here, sets of containers here. So I don't have to read this. If I come to this, I know that this is Leland Long's JavaScript training course. And I can click over here and I can come over here and notice it doesn't show the editing toolbar, but if I want to edit, I have the little icon I built here that talks to that button, right? And you come down here and do that. So I can put more text in here. I can say, here is your bullets right there. You got this, I got this, I got this. And then I could have some text in here, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to copy. And then I could say, well, let me indent this. Let me try. Where's that indenty thing? Goes to the right. Is that in here? Did you build that in here? There it is right there. Right?
Yeah, it's in
right.
There it is.
Right. Right? Oh, that's so sexy. All right, so I can roll it back, right? And so if you leave it out and then you flip the records and you come back, it rolls it back in, right? Automatically. So by default, it hides the toolbar, but then you can say, show me. Now you don't have to have the toolbar to edit. You can come over there and say, oh, well, Richard did this and Richard did this and Richard did this. And we have some other screenshots in here. We have this screenshot here, pop that in there, right? This is the way I do digital container management. The containers in the sample file are internal. If you're going to use them, you put them on the server, make sure you set them to be externally stored, secure, right? But you could click a button here. It opens it up. This is pretty awesome stuff, right? So the idea was why not use the wiki software? One, you have to learn the wiki software. You have to support the wiki software. You have to support the updates on the product. If you're watching the live stream right now, you probably already have a FileMaker server. If you don't, I should reach to the internet and slap you, right? You have your own FileMaker Claris server, and you already have this skill set within your organization or within you, the person watching this. You can do this yourself. So you don't need more software. So the idea was my team name is MVP. It's the marketing and video production team at RCC. We have meetings in the morning. We go through things. We have, these are actually some records out of our system. We were discussing Leland's doing this and we're doing this. And then there's a confirmation email in here. I could find the confirmation email, put that in here. It talks about launching various initiatives, live streams coming up, talking to Kyle. Kyle's not here. Kyle's whatever, updating this, that, and the other thing. So the idea is that you're given a template, you put it on your FileMaker server, and you have this central way of organizing. Now on the right side up here, if you look at what I was building, I'm trying to figure out the organization of this a little bit, but I've got about 10 containers here that are all independent. You can also have links to your stuff. So if you want to have this is the link for this page, so I can press that button and it comes that up. So having the links here are really helpful. The question is how you would save that on screen. Some people don't want a big picture right here. I myself am very visual. I would rather see a picture of something than a bunch of words. So if I see a picture and I recognize that as something I want to engage with, then what I end up doing is I end up than reading the information down below. And then I can edit it. And if I really want to go deep, then I pop the on-screen tools, and we have all these other tools. You can even highlight stuff. I mean, there's some pretty neat stuff in here. I know it's not a long conversation today about this, but here's the thing. We've been doing this JavaScript training, and it was so funny. I sat through our first 2 weeks of JavaScript training, and I'm in the paid training, but then I saw Kyle's sample file, and I understood what was going on here, right? So if I came over here to Kyle's did some documentation here, and in here, Kyle has a spot where he does this insert text. So all you people been watching JavaScript training understand why, as we get things going, we're going to use the insert text command in scripts to load the JavaScript. And it's not one command because it's multiple commands that do different things, right? So as I sat through Kyle's file after watching the Leland Long training, I went, oh, I totally understand how this works and why it is what it is. So JavaScript's been around for a while, and I don't know that I'll ever be good enough to really code it, because mostly I manage people now and do training. But I don't do deep like code training, right? My training is mostly about the platform. Larry says he needs a pot of coffee and a nap or a second brain. Do these require any plugins? No, no plugins. No plugins. All it is the JavaScript that you learned from 2 weeks ago, right? So this file is totally self-contained. So this gets back to the one slide I wanted to pop in over here, if I can find it. So right here. So if I just hit view, play, full screen. So essentially at the end of the day, JavaScript to the rescue. JavaScript is a technology. It's the biggest, I don't know what to say, framework, or not really a framework, it's business like language. Kyle, how would you call, if I just say like jQuery is a framework and React Native is a framework, but JavaScript, is that a language? I guess it kind of is, isn't it?
It's a scripting language, yes.
Scripting language, yeah. So it is by far the most popular scripting language on the planet. Claris, folks at Claris FileMaker, back with the advent of FileMaker 16, started adding support for this in a major way. And actually, it was actually back all the way to 8.5. They added support. They added API support with some JSON stuff. So really, JSON, JavaScript, APIs, that is a conversation. Those three things all kind of, they're not mutually dependent upon each other, but they all kind of go together as kind of the modern tech stack that you can stick into FileMaker. So if you're in FileMaker, for example, and you want to look at the add-ons, you go to layout mode and you come over to add-ons and you say, oh, I want to see what add-ons are available, right? All these items in here are all, for the most part, all JavaScript powered, right? So they have a little baby text editor in here. I'm pretty sure this one right here. I could choose this, right? And what I would probably do is create a new layout, computer layout, test layout, desktop, save it. I could drag it over here and do this kind of thing, go browse. And then so text that has been configured, configure is no longer valid. Please correct it. Please select the field that you want to store. Okay, so I have to select the field.
Is that a brand new table? Because if there's no fields in the table yet,
it's a brand new, that would be why. All right, hang on 1 second. So layout setup. Probably there's no fields on the layout is what they're saying. Got it. All right, so let me just drag a field on the layout here. All right, again, correct it. Click here. There it is right there. Title. Save changes. Okay. So now this is what they've got, right? So you come over here, return, we go over here, return. They have some things over here. I grab an image, I stick an image in here, right? Nothing happens. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of why we eat our own dog food. And not only that, I don't generally use the add-ons. The add-ons, so everyone understands the history of this. Jeremy Brown, who's a great JavaScript guy, created when he worked at Soliant many jobs ago. He keeps bouncing jobs, but he worked at Soliant and he built this amplifier that had a calendar. And I took that calendar and kind of added it and hacked it and stuck it in some internal systems at RCC myself one weekend. It had some SQL and stuff in there like that, but it was JavaScript based. And then from there, my team took it and ran wild with it and created the calendar kit. So it went into starting point. It was a kit you could get Then Claris, Robert Halsey, said, Richard, send me your calendar kit. So he takes my calendar kit, he hacks my calendar kit along with Todd Geist and a couple other people, and a kind of full loop back to Jeremy, and they create the calendar that's in here. So the calendar kit that's in this calendar, this add-on that's in here, was from the RCC calendar kit originally, which was from Jeremy Brown, which is from Full Calendar IO. It's a JavaScript thing. So you drag this in here and you get this calendar, right? And so the essential technology, the things that really extend the Claris FileMaker platform well are JavaScript-based calendars, charts, on-screen improvements, text editors, etc. I went back to Kyle and had him update his demo. One, I wanted the latest code from the CK editor. So when you go, well, I don't understand where you got the JavaScript from, or I don't, the calendar. The calendar stuff is created by, it's open source, but it's called fullcalendar.io. These people here own the JavaScript. They wrote it, they own it, it's their stuff, but they make it kind of open source so you can use it. So we take the code from here, we load it into JavaScript, it goes into our FileMaker file, okay? And you need to be kind of a JavaScript developer to be able to take their stuff and use it, because you don't have to create it from scratch, but you have to adapt it. Like if I came to you and said, hey, here's a new engine for your car, for your pickup truck or whatever. I'm not going to get into electric cars, just leave that aside, but a new engine for your car. You don't have to invent the engine. You don't have to understand how the engine works under the hood, but you have to know enough to connect it into your vehicle. So open up the hood, drop the engine in, connect the drivetrain, connect the electrical, connect the fuel, mount it up, all that kind of stuff. You have to know some, but you don't have to be an engine expert, right? Makes sense? That's what this JavaScript is. You don't have to write the calendar. You don't have to write the text editor, but you have to be able to drop that engine into FileMaker and connect the pieces. And that's what Kyle is so good at doing, along with a lot of other JavaScript people like Jeremy Brown, etc. They could probably write their own from scratch. Why write a calendar when you can get one that's already built? And in Kyle's case, Kyle took the CK editor and he actually made some improvements to it. So if we go to CK editor right here, this is the company that owns the code that Kyle took to build. So Kyle, we had a conversation about improving the CK editor to make it better in FileMaker. So it was images management was part of that. You did a couple things. So when you bolted this engine in, what did you connect and tweak? What did you do?
So yeah, I got it the latest version that they had, and I also added every free feature that I could possibly plug into it. So I combined all their free features into one code, and then I was able to put that into FileMaker, and so this actually has a lot of really cool features into it. Some of which you haven't shown yet. There's a table thing down below where you can actually merge the cells, and you can do a lot of other things.
Really?
Yeah. So some of the things we did add to it that you had me add were the toggle the toolbar, and to be able to disable the web viewer entirely. So I added a universal script in there that you can actually use on any web viewer in FileMaker in any file and disable it. So it's not just limited to this, it's actually external JavaScript that's in the script itself that you perform onto the web viewer. So it's outside of the CK editor code.
Okay.
So that's really cool.
So it's a read-only option right here. So read-only, it kind of goes to gray, and then it would be locked. Yeah. So if you had business logic that said, this project's done, never edit it, you could duplicate it, and then when it duplicates, edit the duplicate, right? But it's this little flag right here, right? He sets it with the script right here. So
yeah, that it disables the web viewer. You can't select any buttons, the toolbars, and everything is disabled when you toggle it to read-only. So even if you have a toolbar up there, you can't select the buttons once it's read-only.
Pretty neat.
And I also made it so that you can go back and forth between records, and it'll disable it if it was disabled before.
That's what I just demoed. Yeah.
So you'll see in that little field it has a 1 and a 0. So is read-only a 0 if it's 1 if it's read-only, 0 if it's not. So it's a Boolean field. So when you select toggle read-only, it's going to change from 1 to a 0.
Yep.
And it saves it for next time you come back. So
yeah, so
that's optional.
So the data is saved in FileMaker because we have FileMaker servers and FileMaker infrastructure, and we understand FileMaker is a much safer, in my opinion. It is a very low to little risk with using this, because like if I had Jacob Taylor build the wiki system and download the wiki, then we have to manage that. And since we don't hang out it all the time, then the knowledge at RCC is pretty limited, right? And if there's a problem with the server or something happens, Jacob gets hit by a bus or something, then we're kind of hung out to dry. So that's why extending the platforms that you're already an expert with makes sense, right? It makes sense to use FileMaker in this case because it works really well for this. If you wanted to do the Kanban board, you could do all that kind of stuff with it. I haven't decided that I wanted to do that, but you could, right? So questions from people.
Not so much questions, but people are agreeing it's very cool. So, which it is.
Well, and it's free, and that's the thing. So which is nice. So
there's another really cool feature that you haven't shown yet, and that's the to-do list. So there's 3 different kinds of checkboxes up there. You have the bulleted list, you have the numbered and lettered list, and then there's a to-do list, which is actually a series of checkboxes that you can actually use. You can select the box, and it'll turn into a green check mark. So you can check them off as you're done with your to-do list. That was one of my favorite features about this. I'm like, oh my god, I can actually use the checkboxes. I haven't even used
this yet. This is so great. I haven't used it on mine. I'm assuming it's in mine if I have your code. So that's the whole point of the FM Wiki. I took it and made it, let me see, better. Let me see. So if I want to say, I got Leland Long's thing. I have some to-dos here. I guess I could, hang on a second. You got that one. You got that one. Okay. Oh, these are like numbers. So what can I select? Okay, wait a minute. Where's my tool? Turn that on.
There you go.
Okay, what happened?
And then it's the third.
Yeah.
So you have your bulleted list, your numbered list, and then your to-do list. There you go. Let
me highlight it again. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I can get rid of the one there. Oh, this is so nice. You get excited about basics, but this gives you the power to be successful. That's really about what the platform's about. It's this level of simplicity, this level of success. You already understand FileMaker. You're already an expert at it. A lot of you are certified. The ones that aren't certified probably should be or could be certified. So we took Kyle's previous demo, we updated it, and then this data here is spewed into the HTML that's over here, and this is actually saved in the record. Even an image that you put in here turns into base 64. We spent a lot of time beating on base 64 the last couple days of the React Native JavaScript training, right? That was that paid part of the training course. So, and we've been beating on that pretty good. So that's in here. So the images are contained in here. Now I have other image support in here, and I can make a note in here, web page approved and final. So when you put something in there, it puts the file name, but you can overwrite that if you want. Gives me my size. This is the stuff that I use. We, once again, we eat our own dog food, right? If I go to recents here, I'm going to pop this up. So this is more digital document management, right? So this is that same, you can see some of the similarities here. So I don't have the really cool wiki tool in here, but this is where I manage my aviation training components, right? So I have digital document management here. I have a little bit of a text editor here, but this is legitimately a FileMaker text field. It's really limited, but most of this is just storing and organizing documents so I can get to what I need to get to, if that makes any sense, right? So I come here, I look at information. I want to, like, someone had a really great picture of a light bar that they bolted illegally on the front of the helicopter that wasn't legal, but I took a picture of it because I thought that was really cool. So we keep this. This is all on a server. I literally have 20 gigs of container data up on the server available. So if I need to pull manuals, I need to do anything. I need a flight manual, training docs for, say, the Bell 206, right? I got that document here. I got this document here. I even have a video in here, right? Shows me the size. So this is that same kind of idea, but here I've got the containers here to support RCC. I've got a detailed editing suite right here of text with open source stuff. And if you guys want to hire Kyle, to tweak this or customize, you can always do that if he's available. He's got a full-time job like I do, but if you need something customized, he could probably do it for you as long as you send him money. You're not going to do it for free. Kyle built the first one kind of on his own nickel. Then I paid him a chunk of change to do some updates to it. So you're getting the benefit of me writing a check in this one.
What is block quote used for? Also the code button.
So if you go back to one of the demo files, there's this quote icon. It's one of the buttons in the toolbar. It's the double quotes right to the left of the table and to the right of the horizontal line.
That, what the hell? Yeah, I don't know what that does.
Yeah, that. So that's a block quote. And so if you just type some text and then create a new row, some random text, and you can highlight that text. And so this is really useful if somebody emailed you and you're trying to email them back. That's usually when I use it. And you select the text and then you use the block quote icon, and it puts
kind of
the line on the left side, so you can see that it was a quote from somebody else that they sent to you, and you can quote it like that and then put a comment underneath it, kind of explaining or answering that. Or you can use that to reference something they quoted so, in response. So there's lots of really cool features in here that we could probably go over. There's a horizontal row line that we didn't really discuss. When you drop a picture in there, you can actually put a caption, some text underneath the picture.
Really?
So that's something you can show.
Okay, let me try.
So if you just throw a random image on there.
Okay, now what?
Yeah. Okay, so see, there's a bunch of icons on the top of the picture that you can select. Yeah, and then there's one that'll put text underneath it, and you can caption it. So you can say, "This is me and so, and at some event."
Perfect. All right.
And then when you drag that image around, it all sticks together. It stays with it.
Right. Oh, does it? So now one thing you'll notice that when you move things around like this, the wrapping typically does break. What I've noticed. Oh, it's not breaking this.
Well, you can change it, because right now it's anchored to the right side.
Okay, let me go back.
You can see it's anchored to the right side. You can anchor it to the left with the little options on there.
Yeah, I see, like this one right here. Kind of, it tends to. That's interesting. What it does is it loses its mind, and then you reset it. That.
Yeah, it depends which option you have selected up there.
I normally do right justified, so see,
it should. Oh, okay, so it did go to the left.
Yeah, so then it's defaulting.
So it wants to go to the left by default then.
Yeah, but if you do this, and then you turn on your captioning, check this out. I think it stays. I think it stays now. See, that's a bug, Kyle. Bad, Kyle. See that? So it stays. Actually,
stays now. So it stays with the caption.
It stays if the captioning is on. That's interesting. All right. Well, okay, Kyle, you had your to-do things to fix. Add that one too, because if someone wants to kick in on that, then they can help. I joined late. I apologize. Is there a way to add custom CSS? Since Stu has been watching our live stream training on JavaScript, Stu, this thing works the same way. There's two files you have. This is Kyle's base file. Then there's my kind of adaptation where I glued it into my kind of wiki kind of idea. This is the document management tool that's over here. That being said, Kyle's scripts are very much formatted and created the way that Leland Long does it. So if you come over here to load the JavaScript right here, down here are the insert commands, which insert all the JavaScript and the CSS and all that kind of stuff, right? And it's all in here. So it's all customized.
In the custom toolbar there, you can actually customize the toolbar. You can remove different buttons from it. You can add buttons.
Oh, the toolbar, help me out. Where is that at?
Yeah, so it's 3 lines down from where you're at, line 24.
24. Yeah, right
if
there.
You go into that. Yeah. So inside of that formula, you can customize a lot of things. If for some reason that gear menu always hides behind the scroll bar.
I set my scroll bar to always be visible, but Claris should. Well, and I got monkey bread in here, which screws around. So yeah, here's which toolbar things you can turn on or off, right? So.
Yep, and there's also various font sizes you can customize. There's different fonts. If you make that window a little wider, we can see it all.
Wider like that.
There we go. Yeah. So the vertical lines are separators in the toolbar section at the top.
Okay.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's grouping it into various sections, and the vertical lines, the pipes, those are separators between the different toolbar sections. So you can add more of those separators if you want. You can move toolbar items around wherever you want. Image upload I disabled on there because it's very much the same as image insert, but it doesn't have all the capabilities of image insert. So I just didn't see the point of having both of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all right there, which is awesome.
These are the
And the various
supported
font sizes.
sizes.
Yep.
Very nice.
So you can add more, you can remove some. If you're never going to use 72, then remove it.
Yeah.
And as long as, yeah. So this is fully customizable. In the script, you can set the default font size. And so that formula there will look at the list that you're feeding it of available font sizes. And if any of them match the custom font size you have, so if you have your custom font size set to 12 for default, when you open up the menu, the drop down menu, that 12 will show as default. But if you make the default 16, then the 16 would show up as default. So that's what that formula does.
Come back over here. Then we have we're in here. Then we have our,
I believe it's a big A with the up and down.
There you go.
Yeah. So you can see it says default where 12 is. And if you go into the scripting, you change the default size to 16 and go back in, then it should show the default on the 16.
Very nice. Very nice.
So,
toolbar. Yeah, so if you watched the JavaScript training, the first couple, I'm not talking to you, Kyle, I'm talking to everyone else. This starts to make a lot more sense now, which is great. Yeah, this needs to probably go into Deadbird, but you're right. The Deadbird database needs this upgrade. I'm gonna have to have someone do this. So the MVP management is our future. So we have a junk drawer. The RCC junk drawer. It's like in the kitchen where every stupid thing that you don't know where it goes in there. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. So what I need to do is take this block of text here and put Kyle's deal in here, right? Yeah.
So there's a couple code buttons. There's HTML if you want to put HTML in there, and then there's code.
We can always show your screen. Do we want to show your screen? Yay, Kyle. All right.
All right. So yeah, he was asking about the code button. So if I come down here and I have a sample of JavaScript here, or maybe here, I'll just take some of this, copy, paste that over here. So the code button, it's basically a format thing. So sometimes when you're sharing code with other people and you're trying to show some JavaScript or something, or maybe you just want to highlight this one little bit of code here in the middle of a bunch of text. So you have your paragraph here and you just want to highlight this little bit here. Code basically it changes the font a little bit and then highlights it in that gray background. And that's really, it's just a format thing. If you don't like that, you can remove it. There's other options too. So like if I don't like the gray and I want to use something different, there's a number of different colors here. And also keep in mind, these colors are completely customizable. So you can add as many of colors here as you want, or remove them if you don't like them. Same thing with this color chart here. Same thing here. So all of these options are completely customizable. And if I go into, let's see, where is it? Custom type toolbar here. So make this a little bigger so everyone can see. All right, so coming down here, you can see right here, font color. This is where you can define all of your font colors. So I can change I can change all these percentages. I believe RGB also works here. They use the HSL, which is hue, saturation, and light, which is just a different way to show colors. And it uses percentages and it uses a color wheel. So there's number of degrees, and the amount of saturation, amount of light. So and then they have the label on here, which you can change the name of the label. Maybe I don't want it to be light green. I just want it to be green. I can simply change it here and it'll change it in the UI. It has a border, so you can remove the border if you don't like the little square border around it. So again, font background color. So this will change. These are the options you have. So we had the yellow in there, which I was able to highlight with. And there's, there's other ones here. If you want to add more, you just take this one section here, and then you just add a couple. So I don't know what color this is going to be, but I'll just throw some numbers in here, which will take different parts of that color wheel. So this is up to 360 degrees. So think of it as a giant circle with various colors all the way around. I believe it starts with red, then goes through Roy G. Biv all the way to the top again. So that's basically that color wheel. Some people prefer this when they're JavaScripting because you can picture the color wheel in your mind. You can picture the degrees where around that wheel it is. So you already know if it's blue, if it's purple, when you understand that color wheel. And then it's, saturation, light, or the other percentages, and kind of see the image just from this text once you get good at that. Kind of handy. And then you have all your fonts here. So if you want to add more fonts, or if you want to hide one of them, you can hide them just by commenting them out. So that way they're there if you ever want to reintroduce them. You don't lose them. Pretty cool. We can completely customize it, and here I can save, and I should be able to go in here.
Oh yeah.
So trying to remember if I added any colors.
Yeah, you added the gnarly, the light green one there. That's nice.
Oh yeah.
Right there.
It's light green.
You have to select something first there. Do it again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that's bright green.
That one's bright. And then where's that other? Did you put you put the color in that one.
There's a couple greens here.
That one. That's the funky one. There you go.
Let me try some new text here.
So what is that? Is that?
So that is the font color.
That's a text color.
See, that faded almost completely out because it's such a white color.
Yeah.
So that's our font colors. So if I want bright pink, I can do bright pink. So let's see, what else do we have here? We didn't really go over the tables. So if you've ever used Tiny MCE, they have something very similar to this, where you select the number of tables and rows. And then they have tools here so that you can insert a row above, insert a row below. You can delete, select a row. You can create a header row, which a lot of these you can't have a header row. So that's kind of cool. And also merging cells. So if I select multiple cells and then I go up here, it's highlighting I'm not sure what I did there to highlight of course. I think it's because I did header row in the middle.
Okay. Oh,
yeah. Doesn't want to merge the header rows, I think. Oh, it did merge these two. So I'm not sure what I did wrong there. But yeah, you can play around with this. This wonderful thing about web viewers is you can get JavaScript code from any JavaScript library and bring it into FileMaker, and you can put it right in the web viewer. And that's basically what we've done here. So, a lot of this I didn't program myself. CK Editor created it, and we're able to leverage it in FileMaker. So I'm learning this with you, learning how this works.
Well, the idea was that we bought or downloaded or licensed this engine, and I said put the engine on my truck, and I hear Kyle in there with his tools and stuff, wrenches, ratchets going back and forth, and he says, "Okay, it's done." We take it out for a drive, and it was wobbling at 35 miles. I said, "Kyle, go work on it some more." So I think he went through 2-3 rounds of tweaks with it, which is fine. And now I got a truck that's pretty good, pretty reliable. Question: how do you get to the defaults again for the toolbar?
So maybe I should do that a little slower way. You go up to scripts and you can go to script workspace. So I was doing a shortcut key, and they might not have known how to do the shortcut key. So Command Shift S, and it shows the icons right here. So the slow way is you go up to the script workspace, and then you're able to open it here. And so right in the load CK editor, base64 support, there is the insert calculated result. Personally, I've started liking using insert calculated result over using set variable. They kind of do the same thing, but insert calculated result, it's been proven to be faster than set variable. And also you can add to what's already in the variable much faster. And plus, it opens straight to this calculation engine. So one of the downsides to using set variable is you get this window, and you're like, okay, well, I want to make a return carriage. I want to hit another line. Oh, well, now I'm out of it. So to get around that annoying part, a lot of us who've been doing this a long time, we started using insert calculator result instead. So when you select here, it goes straight to this where I can actually do return carriages without having to exit out and try to get back into it. It just makes things a lot easier and quicker when you're programming.
Okay, so
plus you can.
Well, Lynn had a question, and this gets into a customization I had made. So Lynn says, is there a way to change the line spacing?
So I added default line spacing here. So if I were to change.
So Lynn, if you press on the Mac Control and the return key, you get one line. Okay.
If I go back here, you can see now there's the line spacing is wider. So you can set that as a default line spacing. I haven't quite figured out how to. I haven't found a tool up here to do that.
Yeah.
But you can set the default. So now you can see that there's spacing in between. If I go back into here and I change this.
Go back to 1 again, and then we can demonstrate this one issue. This is an issue, not so for me, you just have to kind of learn. So what happens is if you press hold the control key down, you hit the return key, you actually get a legitimate type break. Hold the control key down, Kyle, when you start typing. Type, and hold control, then hit return.
Hold control, hit return.
See, like that. So that gives you your tight editing there. So it's just a matter of you gave the tip for Mac spacing. Any idea how to do it on Windows? I'm assuming that it's not really a Mac thing. It's just what it's interpreting on JavaScript. You need a modifier key and hit return, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, by default, it should always behave like this down here. It should behave tightly like that. I hate it when it does the double extra stupid stuff. Whenever I have Microsoft Office doing that, it drives me bonkers because I hate that.
By default, it was doing this, and so that's when I changed the script to allow you to be able to change it here. It uses EM, so that way it adjusts as a percentage of the font size. So whatever font size is currently there. So 1 EM equals whatever the font size is. So therefore, 1 in theory would be no line spacing in between the lines. And so I'm not. I mess with the defaults, and for some reason that code is still in there. So I was hoping maybe creating a new record would fix that, but
well, actually, you put it in a different spot, right? So if you go back to your scripts, you dropped it in a different. I made it edit in a different spot. It's up.
So it's sending it through the parameter. So we got the body, we got the web viewer. Okay, so maybe I'm not sure if I'm modifying it here or not. Default line. Oh, default line spacing isn't in here. So that shouldn't be overriding anything.
I'm not sure why. I changed mine to 1 point something else a little bit, Richard. Okay.
Yeah.
So I changed it in here.
Changing these values right here.
Okay, so there's padding 1.5. So change that to a 1.
So padding, this is actually your left and right padding in the web viewer to bring it out from the outside.
Okay, well, that should stay 1.5, but we need the vertical padding is what we need.
Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time trying to figure that out.
I changed the default.
It was working great till I changed this.
Line 16 and 17. If you go back to your code, let me go to line 16 and 17 on Zoom. Yeah, I changed this. Mine down here was 1.2 or 1.3 is what I said on there. What happens is you save it, close the script. You have to make sure you update it. And then go back and go forward. It should. And then you have to put some. You have to affect the sample. You have to have a big block of sample data in there so you can see it. In HTML.
I don't know. We'll keep working on that.
What is the functional difference between the two downloaded files, if any?
Kyle's is a technology demonstrator for the editor. I took his and built it into an internal project management tool. So this stuff in here, if I go back to this piece right here, is identical in my file. I took it out of here and glued it into my file. And every time that, so every once in a while, Kyle will send me, oh, I found this bug. And I'm like, okay, where's the bug at? And he doesn't say anything to me where the bug's at. So it takes me about 45 minutes to kind of copy and paste because I have Kyle's scripts over there, right? His scripts that make this work. First I move the custom functions, right? Then I look at the fields he needs, fields, then custom functions, then the scripts in that order is kind of how you move stuff over.
Yeah, I did add some custom functions in here. So in order to get things to work in WebDirect, there's some text that you have to have at the beginning of the HTML. So I have this HTML prepend for WebDirect custom function, and it'll look to see if that text is already there. If it's already there, it'll leave it alone. If it's not there, then it'll add it. So that's this custom function there. And I also added a couple of other custom functions in here as well. So perform JavaScript in WebViewer. Pretty simple function. Basically, what that does is it allows you to disable the web viewer. So if I go into the disable web viewer, this is perform JavaScript in web viewer, and it allows me to create this function on the fly inside of the FileMaker script. And so I can name it. The name doesn't really change what it does. It doesn't really do anything other than allow you to identify it and know what it's about to do. So it's here, I know it's going to look to see if an element exists, and then I create the JavaScript right here. And then I also have JSON.convert to JS, which will allow you to use JSON set element in a formula to be able to create JSON in a JavaScript format, compatible format. I added these little triangles to be able to remove the quotes from that the JSON that it creates, and that allows it to reference this variable in the JavaScript. So that's what these little triangles are for. Yeah, and then I just added a couple other variables so that it knows what the web viewer name is and the disable field flag field name. Yeah, so this is basically just building the JSON. It's converting it into a format that JavaScript understands, and then this is all inside of a JavaScript that we're building on the fly. And then we're able to use this variable, now that we populated it, to perform it on the web viewer itself. So none of that code is in the web viewer. We're creating the code outside of the web viewer, and then we're just performing it on the web viewer. So that's kind of cool. A lot of people look at this perform JavaScript in web viewer step, and they think, oh, I got to call a function that's already in the web viewer. Well, actually, that's not true, because you can create your own inside of a variable and then just say, perform this JavaScript function that I've just created that doesn't exist yet. So that's how I was able to make this work for any web viewer in any file, anywhere. And to be able to do that dynamically, have a universal script that will disable any web viewer anywhere with its own code in the script. So pretty cool.
Yep. So the this little interaction right now, and I'm gonna share my screen briefly here. I'll just gonna jump
Sure, yeah. Go ahead and take over.
The interaction between me and Kyle is interesting because this is very classic for the FileMaker community. So you have someone who's really a freaking ninja at some specialty, and that's Kyle. Then you have someone like me who's kind of like the manager person who probably the best successful FileMaker managers are the ones who once upon a time did that job, but they don't do it anymore, and they understand, like when Kyle comes to me and says, the DB bin, the period, and the forward slash, and it blew up, and I understand that, right? And so it's a really interesting interaction between the person using the tool and the person who's coding the tool, because the person who's the customer in this case understands what he's doing, which is great. And it makes the communication really nicely done. There was questions about the beaver. Okay, so that is not a cat. It's not a coyote. That is a beaver from a product we used to have called Sales Beaver. It was discontinued. But we created a tool in in the iOS long before Claris came out with Go. And so it was basically kind of a basic CRM. And then Claris came out with Go, and it kind of deprecated the product, but learned a lot building iOS apps and doing stuff like that. So that's why that artwork's kind of internal to RCC. Yes, so neat tool. Kyle kicked on this. It's in FileMaker. You put it on your server. You already have a FileMaker server. It makes lots of sense. If you want to learn about the basics of the JavaScript stuff, we covered that for like 2 weeks, about 2 weeks ago, right? So you go back to our training. You can watch the live streams on that with Leland Long. It was really quite good. All right, folks. Kyle, good job. Thank you for the hard work. If people want to hire Kyle to tweak his file, that's great. Kyle will make sure to share the updates if it's horizontal with the rest of us. Would be wonderful. So this is my contribution on this end. Cool. So the transfer of all the custom functions, yes, you have to transfer the custom functions. Then I would define the fields, move the fields over, then the custom functions, then the create the layout, and then the last thing you do would do the scripts. Would be the way I would handle that. All right, that's it, everyone. Appreciate you having a good day. Have a good one. Catch you tomorrow with Nick and OCR. Thanks, Kyle.
Awesome. All right, have a good day.
Got a report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir!